the guardian angel. And I am always with you. I was there from the time you were born. I stood in the delivery room, staring down at you before you could even open your eyes to see me. Your parents, relatives, and doctors couldn't see me there, in the corner, watching you with cloudy eyes. But I was there from the time you were born, and I followed you home. I was always with you, your constant companion. You played with your toys alone while I stared from all angles in nearby mirrors. My matted, clotted hair with oily sweat that hung off my dented forehead like glue. I was always your constant companion, drifting behind your mother's car on your ride to preschool. You alone in the bathroom, but I was on the other side of the door, wind whistling through the bruised hole in my throat, my arms twisted and hanging in their sockets as I stood hunched on the other side of the shower curtain. I waited and followed you. I follow and drift behind you. I'm not seen. I'm almost not there in light. You never saw me that morning as I sat across from you at the breakfast table, a shiny red clot hanging from the empty tooth socket as I caped grotesquely at you. I wonder sometimes if you know I'm here. I think you are aware, but you'll never understand just how close I am. I spent hours of your day doing nothing more than breathing in your ear. Breathing. Gagging, really. I crave to be close to you, to always wrap my crippled arms around your neck. I lie near you every single night, cloudy eyes staring at your ceiling, underneath your bed, at your sleeping face in the dark. Yes, you caught me staring occasionally. Your parents came running down to your room one night when you screamed. You were just beginning to talk, so you were only able to cry out, "Man! Man in my room!" You thought you'd never forget the sight of me, with my collapsed jaw hanging in my chest, swinging back and forth. I sank back into your closet, and your mother was unable to see me, though you pointed and pointed and pointed. You thought you'd never forget when they left the same night. You saw the closet door crack so softly, and me crawling across the floor to your bed on all fours, shambling in jerky movements, as I pushed myself under your bed on disjointed limbs. You learned a new word for me, boogeyman. Not quite the monster you thought I was. I'm just waiting and following you always, touching your face with my knotted fingers as you sleep. You'll see me again soon. Any day now. I'm coming, blunt and brutal. One day you'll walk across the road and I believe I'll plow into you with a loud roar and a screech. You rolling across the pavement, rolling under the wheels. Blunt force metal fenders and my fingers touching your face again and again. As you stare up from the cold pavement with cloudy eyes, your matted, clotted hair hanging in your face, and your jaw unhinged and swinging to your chest, you'll see me approaching. No one else will see me. You will stare past them into my eyes, and I'll leer down at you. For the first time in our life, something like a smile will come over my face. You'll swear you're looking into a mirror as clotted red bubbles from our mouths. I'll lean down, past the doctors and the oogling people, pick you up in my crooked arms. Our faces will touch. My wings will unfurl. And then you'll have to follow me. And I am always with you. I am your guardian angel. Sleep paralysis. Crap, I've got exams tomorrow, I thought. And I had promised myself I'd get a good night's sleep, yet I'd woken up in the middle of the night for no reason. Bloody Sod's Law. Ugh, what time is it anyway? I looked on the clock. It was 3:20. Right, that wasn't too bad, I suppose. I had about 4 more hours of sleep left. I tried to drop off again, but my brain just wouldn't settle back down. Closed my eyes slightly, laid on my back, chest, side, got into every position I could think of, but just could not get back to sleep. "Oh my God," I mumbled. "Is it really 4 o'clock already?" This was too much. I needed to be ready for exams. Frustrated, I grabbed my iPod and set it to the lowest volume possible, so that the blue bar wasn't even visible. After all, I didn't want to wake everyone else in the house up. I connected to YouTube, searched relaxing music, and clicked on the first decent-looking thumbnail I saw. I placed the iPod on my pillow and put my ear over the speaker of it. It started off nice enough. Harps and violins playing softly, while a piano made a continuous, slightly repetitive tune. I was actually starting to sink back into a happy slumber once again. Then I heard a noise. Barely anything. Just what sounded like a slight scratch on the wall. Any other time I would have taken no notice. But it was right at that moment I felt something. There was an overwhelming sense of evil filling the room. Impossible to describe. A sensation of hell and hatred. What you would imagine Satan to be like. If that makes any sense. Although there was nothing to see. I could just feel this presence in my room. A presence of pure evil. I was still in a state of semi-consciousness, what I can only describe as somewhere between being asleep and awake. I could still not move. It was as if my mind was awake, but my body wasn't. I felt fear like no other time in my life. Sheer terror and nothing else, engulfing me fully. Just as I was about to scream, I stopped. There was a hand coming round the door, followed by heavy, raspy breathing. Everything was dark, and I could hardly see, but the hand I saw appeared to be that of a shadow, yet somehow it seemed to be made up of a substance. It continued to wrap its fingers around the doorframe, and eventually it started to open the door. The figure standing before me was hazy in my half-open eyes. In the blackness of the room, it was definitely solid now. Dark gray and draped in a long coat with a hood. I could not see a face, just long, tangled gray hair. But for whatever reason, I had named it, and knew the gender. It was a hag. The hag. It sounds ridiculous, almost comical now that I write it. But there was something in me which knew this. For some reason it seemed obvious at the time. Again I tried to scream, but as I did, she proceeded to cross my room and came towards me. The next few seconds I cannot recall, but as soon as she was sitting on my chest with her hand around my neck, I felt like I was being suffocated. All I could hear was her breathing in my ear. She was whispering something. I couldn't make it out, but I knew it was something evil. I tried so desperately to move, concentrating all my energy, using every bit of my strength to move an ankle, a finger, anything. For I felt that if I were able to do that, I could defeat this demonic being. She was kneeling now, crouched down and hunched, crushing my ribs and compressing my lungs. Her hand was tightening its grip on my neck. I couldn't breathe, and I felt ready to die. Thought I was dying. I started to have this internal conflict. I could not let myself be consumed by this evil. I didn't want it, but there was nothing I could do to escape. But I couldn't let this happen. I would not be taken by it. But hope and life were being drained out of me. I had to win, though. If I could do even the smallest thing, then I was certain I was going to survive. Yet, I thought, how could I? Suddenly, a pair of eyes staring at me. Glowing, emerging from behind a curtain that concealed my wardrobe. They were bright white, with no pupils. They seemed to belong to some strange, horse-like creature, but they protruded from its head like light bulbs. I also felt another presence behind me, something cold and malevolent. It was making the same scratching sound I had heard earlier. Louder, though. In fact, it was as loud as the breathing of the hag on my chest. And I swore I felt scratching on my head. There was pain, but not like normal pain. It felt real, but also not. It was almost as if I could see it rather than feel it. I could not fight anymore, and I gave up and let her suffocate me. But then, it all stopped. I opened my eyes fully and sat bolt upright in bed. I breathed deeper than ever and slowly drew my hands up to feel my neck. Nothing. I hastily looked around the room, and all I saw was darkness. I was alive. It was so strange. A second ago I was about to die, and now I was fine. I remembered everything, and it was definitely not a dream. It was half and half. I've had similar experiences since then, though not for many years, but life has never been the same since. I mean, every time I close my eyes, I picture that same scene. I don't know whether it was real or not, but I don't think I'll ever have any way of knowing. But what I do know is that that sense of evil that I was feeling was the worst thing anyone could ever endure, and I hope to God it never happens again. Though the possibility is always going to be there. It's an odd thing to be afraid of the past, isn't it? Sweet dreams.